The next thing I want to do is, because I'm already here, we're going to talk about the Distinguished Service Awards, and we have 3 Distinguished Service Awards to present. I am only going to introduce the
4 awards.
We have 4. They don't let me out much, you know, to nominate. So I want to tell you, our former, still active member, but Bill Miller was one of our board of members, directors. He had the idea several years ago about this and really led the initiative to get this set up. So it was first presented in 2003. The first awards were presented in 2023, and they were to Rick Lester and Don Plunkett. Those of you that have been around any time at all will know that both of those guys were initial founding members of the organization and did tremendous work for the organization. Don's claim to fame was actually inviting me to be a member of this organization, but no. Don's son-in-law was the guy that flew the pilot in Top Gun Maverick, and he spoke at his funeral, and he's a great guy. So those guys were our first. Set the bar very high for this organization. The next year, is this a slide?
Yeah, it is a slide.
Sorry. I got it. Thank you. The next year, they lowered the standards a bit and elected me to be a part of but Alan Gravel, they raised the standards back up again. Kerry King, back down again. I'm just kidding. Mac Torrance. So those 4 were elected last year, and this year we have 4 new members that are going to be nominated. So I'm going to ask Coach McDonald to come up, and he's going to introduce, and we're going to go through the process of electing or honoring these guys. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, John. Flip the slide.
There we go.
In honoring the 4 recipients today, the first one I'd like to nominate or talk about is Brian Tate. Of course, we all know the award is presented to members who have distinguished themselves exceptionally to members not only of the AVVBA, but citizens of Atlanta and Georgia. In the past, Brian has been past president, 2-time chairman of the AVVBA, and past president and chairman of the foundation, and has served as director on both boards, and continues to serve as director of the foundation board. He has been a participant in many of the initiatives and activities. He helped establish the Veterans Helping Another Generation of Veterans Scholarship Program. To date, we have scholarship endowments at Georgia State, University of Georgia, University of North Georgia, Georgia Tech, Chattahoochee Tech, and Gwinnett Tech. And he continues to provide updates monthly concerning the foundation program. Brian has been a constant volunteer for the USO, job fairs, and memorials. Has served as an usher at the annual Veterans Day ceremony at the Atlanta History Center, and he was on the project steering committee, which advised on the design and creation of the Veterans Park at the History Center. He became a liaison to the History Center in 1999 and continues to be involved. I know Skip will like this. He has faithfully marched in the Atlanta Veterans Day Parade since the AVVBA began participating. Brian established the first AVVBA webpage and the first database of members. He was responsible for the protocol requiring members to provide a DD-214 proving service in Vietnam. He was a highly decorated infantry soldier, drafted after college, attended the NCO school, and was an honor graduate, earning the rank of Staff Sergeant. After leaving the Army, he became an accomplished businessman and starting a telecommunication company. Many accolades, including the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, for success as a military veteran businessman. He demonstrates to the public a veteran who is a positive member of society after military service. He was recently selected as Legionnaire in the Order of St. Maurice, an honor given by the National Infantry Association and the Chief of the Army Branch to recognize contributions made after service. It's my honor to award the Distinguished Service Award to Brian Tate.
would just like to thank Max Torrance and Skip Bell for nominating me for this award, but my true prize is having served with great heroes like all of you. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to bring up Milton Jones.
Thank you, Coach. For me, it is a signal honor to be able to present the AVVBA Distinguished Service Award to John Douglas. Where's John hiding? There he is, all the way back there. As he comes forward, John has provided distinguished service to the Atlanta Vietnam Veterans Business Association and to our community at large. John was an integral part of AVVBA activities for a number of years, including serving in several leadership positions in the association and as a foundation director, working at the Atlanta Airport USO, being a member of the AVVBA Foundation Memorial Committee, organizing field trips to Fort Rucker and to the Infantry Museum at Fort Benning. John served on the committee that found the Dunwoody United Methodist Church as a meeting place for both the association and for the foundation, and it is a great place for us to meet. He also coordinated AVVBA participation in the Vietnam commemoration ceremony that was held at the Marietta National Cemetery and participated in both of the Vietnam commemoration trips to D.C. made by the AVVBA to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. John has been a faithful attendant at our monthly AVVBA meetings and has participated in various meeting-related activities. He has served as the AVVBA Executive Vice President, the President, and as Chairman and Chairman Emeritus of the Board, as well as service on the Foundation Board on the Scholarship and Memorial Committees. John has participated in many civic activities, including riding with the Patriot Guard Riders, honoring dozens of deceased veterans, representative of the AVVBA at VET Atlanta, representing the AVVBA on the Georgia State VA Committee, and being guest speaker at numerous veteran-related events, including Noonan High School JROTC unit, the 75th Ranger National Convention, and was the escort officer for Major General James Livingston at the Medal of Honor Convention in Atlanta. John received the American Patriot Medal, only the 8th one of these medals ever presented by the United Daughters of the Confederacy. He is also a nominee for induction into the Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame. John is richly deserving of this consideration, this honor, and I'm honored to be able to present to John Douglas the AVVBA Distinguished Service Award. I will gladly hold this, sir.
I just wanted to thank Coach McDonald and the committee for this award and to congratulate the other recipients because I know their contributions to this organization, and I feel humbled and honored to be included with the other three guys. Don Plunkett, who was already mentioned, he and I were classmates at Roosevelt High School. And back in the 1980s, he invited me to come to a luncheon, and they at that point was meeting at a Vietnamese restaurant on Buford Highway. And it was a It was a great introduction to the organization, but at that time I had a job that wouldn't allow me to sneak away for luncheons, and so I had to pass on joining. But in the 1980s, about 15 years ago, Don invited me to come back. And when I entered the building, which at that point was the Hewlett-Packard building, for lunch, I just immediately felt at home. And I can remember thinking that this organization is an organization that I can really be a part of and feel a part of, and it was an organization that made me feel proud of my military service. Our legacy, that's already been mentioned, includes the memorials, the truth and myth video, the scholarships, and the Ready to Talk books. I would include in that list of legacy items. But much more than that, I think many lives have been touched by the participation in the USO, the Veterans Fairs, the Veterans Courts, the numerous funerals and memorial services that we have attended that have touched the families, and the countless speeches that have been made by all of you to schools and civic organizations. When I try to describe our organization when people ask about it, I usually start by saying we are not the group that gets together on Friday night and has a beer and tells war stories. We are an active service organization that tries to not only improve the image of the Vietnam vet, but also help other veterans and their families. We are individuals that served in Southeast Asia, came home to not so great homecoming, but continue to serve and help change the original image of the Vietnam vet. And I just want to thank you for letting me be a part of this organization for so long. But as our numbers decrease, and as we saw our TAPS roll increases, I'm reminded of the stories of the last man standing. And whether it be marauders, doolittles, raiders, whatever, some of those stories include sharing the last bottle of brandy or popping a champagne and having a toast. But there's also those many stories about the last man out turn off the light. Well, I pledge to you that if I am the last man standing, I am not going to turn off the light. I want the light to shine on the individuals in this room. I want it to shine on this organization, and it will continue to be the organization that is closest to my heart. Thank you again for this award.
I have one additional duty, and that is to introduce Jay Pryor. Thank you.
Kurt Mueller, if you would join me up here.
Be happy to. Thank you, stranger and
Name a leadership position in AVVBA, and Kurt Mueller checks all the boxes. President of AVVBA, check. President of the Foundation Board, check. Chairman of the AVVBA Board, check. Chairman of the Foundation Board, check. Participant in almost every special event AVVBA is involved in, check. Kurt served in Vietnam in the Army Infantry and also as a helicopter pilot, flying missions with 2 air cavalry units. He was in Vietnam from May 1970 until May 1971 and attained the rank of captain. I am honored on behalf of AVVBA to present the Distinguished Service Award to someone who has earned the recognition and has also earned our gratitude for his many years of leadership of the AVVBA. Kurt Mueller. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you hold this for 1 second?
Yes,
and I would like to.
certainly.
I was asked to make a few comments, and thanks you to Skip to allow me to do this. This will be about 30 minutes, please. I have to tell you, this is to be given this honor really goes to not so much to me as to all the people that have helped me and supported me in my leadership role. For Mike Hamer, for taking on my responsibility of the membership vice president in 2013. He is currently the longest lasting membership VP and probably will. All right. For Brian Tate's support and mentor role in helping me transition to the president of the organization. For Steve Presser and Jim Dixon, who assumed very key roles in the implementation of our 2014 member survey program that still has a significant impact on our organization today, many of which you probably don't know about, but the entire website thing was developed with the support of Jim Dixon, and the new member organization and a lot of the implementations for camaraderie was dealt by Steve Presser. For John Douglas and Jim Dixon, who actually took on the key roles to help us find this new location as our meeting place. For Max Torrance, who's been a friend since the day I joined here, who got me engaged in the USO, the Atlanta History Center, Veterans Day programs, planning, and organizing those great trips we've had. And for all the support of everybody on the AVVBA boards that I served on, the foundation board, most notable, the roles that Brian Tate, Jim Dixon, and Tommy Arian assumed into the implementation of our 3 legacy programs. That is where the legacy will be with those things, and thank you to those guys. But I do have one announcement today that I have been, unfortunately, I'll be very proud to announce. And this is to acknowledge one of our past recipients, John Butler. And what I'm going to tell you, it is something that I'm so proud to announce today. You may not know this, but John is going to be developing the first Atlanta Vietnam Veterans Business Association retirement and assisted living care at a facility to be determined this coming year. Thank you, Kurt.
And now, Kerry King.
Listen, I hate to start off on a negative note, but the committee voted just before we started today, and I hate to pass this on, but we're asking John Butler to restore the Distinguished Member Award and give it back to us. I was talking to John earlier, and I asked him about what he wrote for the new book, and he said this time it's going to be the truth. So, and thank you, John, for that bit of honesty. We appreciate that.
John is changing his last name to Rodney Dangerfield.
That's right. It is my great honor to be the individual selected to introduce the next Distinguished Member awardee, and that's my good friend and colleague and my boss, Carl Hamilton, parentheses, Skip Bell III. I just found out the rest of his name just recently, so I wanted to see if I could sound it all out and remember it. Skip is not only a lifetime military man, but he was a military brat, and his father was a career soldier, I believe a full colonel. He attended North Georgia College and graduated in 1967. He was commissioned in armor and served in Vietnam as a scout platoon leader in the 1st Battalion, 32nd Armor, and the 3rd Armored Division in Germany, and in the 1st Squadron, what we used to call the Quarter Cav when I was in the 1st Infantry Division, the 1st Squadron, 4th Cav. And that wasn't enough for him. He went back and he did the advanced course after that tour, and he decided he wanted to try another tour, so he went back and he became a Cobra pilot. So this is a man that faces challenges and deals with them in the best of ways. He retired from the Army from active duty, I believe in 1988, is that correct? And as a full colonel. And after more than 31 years of total service, And I'm just going to mention a few of his awards because I think before I tell you what he's done for this organization, I want you to hear this. He has the Legion of Merit, the Bronze Star with 4 oak leaf clusters, 2 awards for valor, the Purple Heart, the Air Medal with the number 15, Meritorious Service Medal, Army Commendation Medal with 1 oak leaf cluster, and of course the usual service medals from Vietnam, Army Aviator Badge, and Ranger Badge. And his stories are true. Now, my good friend, I'm honored to tell you he is also a good friend. There's only one negative, and that was that when he was out, and I'm going to tell you about that some years when he was unable to be with us, and he was kind of out of the organization for about 8 or 9 years. But while he was out and we were marching in the parade, somebody turned to me at the second or third parade and said, you know, you're not bad calling cadence, but Skip is better. So I really have to hold that against him, that he could have toned it down a little bit to make me look good. He was inducted into the Georgia Military Hall of Fame in 2023, and rightfully so, a well-deserved honor. As far as the AVVBA is concerned, he's been a life member since 1994. He became a member of the board of directors in 2007, became secretary in 2010, and was very involved in 2010 when we dedicated the memorial out in Rockdale County in Conyers that many of you were also involved in, and I think I was in charge of invitations for that one. But Skip really did a lion's share of that work for that. He got sidelined because he was married to Carol for 46 years. There were 3 children and 4 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. But when she became ill, he took some time off from the organization to take care of her. And we all know that family comes first. But when he was relieved of those duties, he returned to the AVVBA, and thank God for that. He led the 2011 memorial in Rockdale County, and also he became president. He became EVP, Executive Vice President, in 2021, became the president in 2022, and this is after a 9-year hiatus. So that tells you how respected he is. And was the master of ceremonies for our 40th anniversary ceremony at the History Center. Meanwhile, while he was doing all this, he got a master's degree after he got out of the Army. He is now chairman of the board, started in 2024. He's marched in numerous Veterans Day parades and says he never said he did cadence better than I did. He worked at the USO in many of our shifts. He's organized trips to Fort Benning, one of the organizers of the trip to the Vogel, I think I'm pronouncing it right, the Vogel nuclear plant, and on several trips to the 101st Airborne Museum in Toccoa, the 50th anniversary last year, or this year, I guess. He attended with the group that went to Washington, D.C., one I was unable to go because of my wife's health issues, but that was, I understand, a monumental trip where he represented us. He is not just a tremendous soldier, not just a tremendous contributor to this organization. He's a great guy, and it's my great honor to present the award to Skip Bell.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Skip.
I don't know who he was talking about. Kerry mentioned that I took about a 9-year hiatus from this organization, and everybody else has thanked people, and I'm going to thank a couple of people also for some things. One of the first things that happened after I came back, which was in about 2019 or 2020 after I lost Carol, was I saw my friend John Douglas. John didn't say, "How you doing?" John didn't. He just came up, shook my hand, said, "You ready to come back to work?" And I said, "Yes, sir." Just a little word of advice. If you're dealing with grief, get busy. And that's serious. I mean, it's, lots of fun, and we're laughing and scratching today. But I think one of the things that I can say that the AVVBA offered me the opportunity to do was to get busy. And thank you, John, I guess you knew I needed to do that, but I really appreciate it. And of course, none of us does any of this stuff by ourselves. I thank you, Art, for replacing me as the president, and Clyde for being the EVP, and all of the board members for the great work that you do. This is a wonderful organization. It's one of the few places in the world that I feel safe, because we're all veterans. And I thank you so much for your service to our nation, but I feel completely safe in this room with you folks, and I appreciate that so very much. I guess that's it. Thanks so much. Thank you. You got it all. Thank you.